China has once again surpassed the expectations of the United States by reinstating its position as a formidable force in the world of advanced and sophisticated weaponry. In a power tussle between the two most developed countries in the world, China has proven that it would stop at nothing to assert its dominance. A recent report revealed that China had taken a giant leap ahead of the United States innovation as it unveiled the largest aircraft carrier, an advanced ship that has gotten the attention of the United States Navy. What are the capabilities of this carrier? Is it more sophisticated than the U.S. aircraft carriers? Join us as we delve into the features of the largest aircraft carrier that China has just revealed. Over the years, China and the United States have been in silent competition, investing billions of dollars in the development of sophisticated weapons that cannot be compared to anything that has ever been created. As a result of this power struggle, no other nation has a larger naval fleet than China, which owns over 340 warships. Funny enough, not even the United States comes close to owning that much, even with its most expensive $100 billion aircraft carrier. It is no wonder the United States keeps tabs on China's innovation. Now, China has launched the world's largest conventionally powered aircraft, and this innovation is the Type 003 Fujian. This carrier features a design and capabilities that are unlike its predecessors and look more like the American aircraft carriers. Since its launch, the Fujian has been undergoing several tests that would prepare it for commission into service. Recent video footage released by China shows the aircraft carrier completing a moving test, which involves testing the vessel's main propulsion machinery while it is moved. The ship was also recently spotted testing its state-of-the-art electromagnetic catapults for launching jet fighters. The ship is in the final stages of being fitted before it goes through sea trials. The trials at sea are the last tests the ship needs to undergo before it's officially given to the Chinese Navy, probably next year. The Type 003 carrier is expected to differ from China's previous carriers due to several advancements. Instead of using ski jumps to launch aircraft, it plans to use steam turbines and electromagnetic catapults. According to Chinese military expert Song Zhongping, Fujian also has an integrated power system. The exact engines on the Fujian are unknown since the carrier is quite new, and like any new flagship military equipment, not much information has been released about it just yet. The carrier's size is similar to the unfinished 85,000-ton Soviet aircraft carrier Ulyanovsk and the 100,000-ton supercarriers of the United States Navy. Initially, it was thought to be around 300 meters long, but later assessments, using satellite images, suggested it might be 316 meters long with a flight deck 76 meters wide and could be close to 100,000 ton in displacement. It is the first Chinese aircraft carrier that would help aircraft take off with catapults. It has 3 catapults, 2 on the front deck and 1 towards the back, near the angled landing deck. There are speculations that the carrier might have protective weapons on side platforms under the flight deck, like missile launchers for air defense and systems to deal with close threats. The Fujian is obviously up against the American aircraft carrier with the most AI and automation setup in history. Since China has yet to reveal much information on the systems powering the Fujian carrier, the chances of surpassing the systems on the American carrier, which builds on the successes of its preceding Nimitz-class carriers, another class of American carriers that boast impressive AI and automation, is still unknown. It is known that the Chinese carrier is fitted with the most advanced sensors and processing systems that the nation could provide. It begins with an integrated power system, a massive upgrade over the systems used in preceding Chinese aircraft carriers. The system allows for more efficient power distribution, which increases the performance of the ship's sensors and processing systems. These systems include an active electronically scanned array radar system, or ASA radar system, which provides the Fujian with superior detection and tracking capabilities, enabling it to simultaneously identify and track multiple targets. 4 S-band Dragon Eye Type 346 radars and 4 smaller X-band ASA radar panels support this system. The Chinese carrier's air wing is expected to advance, with the main aircraft of the air wing anticipated to be the naval version of the Shenyang FC-31, known as the J-35. The J-35 is a fifth-generation fighter designed to rival America's fifth-generation F-35 Lightning II. Another aircraft that might be on the Fujian is the Shan KJ-600, which will serve a similar surveillance role as the E-2D Hawkeye of the U.S. Navy. In addition to these fighters, the Fujian would likely host more fighters, rotary aircraft, and unmanned aerial vehicles. The exact count of these aircraft remains unknown for now. However, the Fujian is an 80,000-ton carrier. The Fujian 003 puts China on a list of only 3 nations to wield electromagnetic launch systems, next to France and the US. An electromagnetic launch system is a massive advancement over steam-powered launch systems and the ski ramps found on the previous Chinese carriers. With an electromagnetic launch system, an aircraft carrier can catapult the widest range of manned and unmanned aircraft in a short distance without causing damage to them. There is no doubt that the USS Gerald Ford would be the Chinese Type 003 Fujian's biggest rival when the carrier finally entered service. Let's take a look at the specifications of the USS Gerald. USS Gerald R. Ford is a big ship for the U.S. Navy and the first. The ship is named after the 38th President of the United States, Gerald Ford, who served in the Navy on the aircraft carrier Monterey in the Pacific during World War II. The ship's building started on August 11/25 with a special ceremony. The first part, a 15-ton plate, was cut by Northrop Grumman. The foundation of Gerald R. Ford was put down on November 13, 2009. She was officially named on November 9, 2013. Gerald R. Ford came into service to replace the retired USS Enterprise, who served for 51 years and retired in December 2012. Originally, it was supposed to be ready in 2015, but it was given to the Navy on May 31, 2017, and President Donald Trump officially started its service on July 22, 2017. It set sail for its first mission on October 4, 2022. As of 2024, it is the biggest aircraft carrier in the world and the largest warship ever made. On September 10, 2028, the U.S. Navy made a $5.1 billion deal with Northrop Grumman Shipbuilding in Newport News, Virginia, to plan and build the carrier. Northrop started construction on the carrier in 2005 with a $2.7 billion contract. The carrier was built at the Huntington Ingalls Newport News shipbuilding facilities in Newport News, Virginia. The ship was supposed to launch on July 2013 and be delivered in 2015. However, due to delays, the launch was pushed to October 11, 2013, and the naming ceremony took place on November 9, 2013. The ship was eventually delivered on February 2016. As of 2013, construction costs were estimated at $12.8 billion, 22% over the 2008 budget, with an additional $4.7 billion in research and development costs. By March 2018, due to problems with the nuclear propulsion system and munitions elevators, construction costs reached $13 billion, making Gerald R. Ford the most expensive warship. The planned delivery was delayed by 3 months to October 2019. Newport News Shipbuilding released a video documentary on the construction of Gerald R. Ford. Gerald R. Ford is designed to be the first in a new series of aircraft carriers that brings significant improvements over the previous Nimitz class. It features advanced radar systems like AN/SPI-3 and AN/SPI-4 and the Ship Self-Defense System Mk2 baseline 10 of the Mod 6 variant command and control system. The island on Gerald R. Ford is shorter but taller than that of the Nimitz class, positioned farther aft and closer to the ship's edge. This innovation is estimated to save $4 billion in operating costs over 50 years. Chief of Naval Operations ADM, Jonathan Greenert, praised the carrier as a technological marvel capable of carrying unmanned aircraft, joint strike fighters, and deploying lasers. However, there were challenges in Pentagon tests, and final software fixes were delayed until after the ship's post-shakedown availability in 2019. In January 2014, the annual report from the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation highlighted issues with critical ship systems, including emails, advanced arresting gear, dual-band radar, and weapons elevators, stating they were not reliable enough and needed more testing and improvements. The Navy responded with a thorough testing program to address these concerns before installing the systems on the aircraft carrier. Significant problems with the main turbine generators were identified in June 2016, requiring design changes, and the fix was confirmed during acceptance trials in May 2017. The initial operational test and evaluation milestone was reached on April 2017. Gerald R. Ford went underway for the first time on April 8, 2017, for builder's trials, completing them and returning to port at Naval Station Norfolk on April 14, 2017. She departed for acceptance trials on May 24, 2017, completing them on May 26, 2017. In 2018, the Navy sought to postpone shock trials for at least 6 years to expedite the ship's deployment, but the request was denied. On June 18, 2021, Gerald R. Ford underwent her first full ship shock trial 87 nautical miles off Ponce Inlet, Florida, to ensure she could withstand battle conditions. USGS measured a 40,000-pound TNT explosion underwater as a 3.9 magnitude earthquake. Additional tests in July and August, with detonations closer to the hull, confirmed the ship successfully passed the trials, concluding the testing process. In May 31, 2017, Newport News Shipbuilding delivered Gerald R. Ford to the U.S. Navy, and her status was changed to Special in Service. Gerald R. Ford was formally commissioned into the United States Navy on July 22, 2017. Air Test and Evaluation Squadron 23 conducted the first arrest landing and catapult launch from Gerald R. Ford using an F/A-18F Super Hornet on July 28, 2017. According to a mid-2020 GAO report, Gerald R. Ford continued to experience significant issues with operating her weapons elevators. A Department of Defense report in early 2021 stated that the ship was still not combat ready, citing ongoing problems with the electromagnetic aircraft launch system. Despite being designed for 4,166 aircraft launches between operational mission failures, it only achieved 181. On March 20, 2021, Gerald R. Ford and the Italian aircraft carrier Caver underwent ready for operations by the Italian Navy while transiting the Atlantic Ocean. On September 2022, Rear ADM James Downey described the ship as fully delivered and meeting her initial operating capability. Another powerful submarine would be checking out the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. It is a class of 10 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers in service with the United States Navy. This lead ship of the class is named after Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, a commander during World War II. The Nimitz class is a group of 10 big aircraft carriers that use nuclear power. These ships are long, about 1,092 feet, and very heavy, over 100,000 tons when fully loaded. These Nimitz-class ships were the biggest warships until the USS Gerald R. Ford joined the fleet in 2017. Instead of using gas turbines or diesel-electric systems like many modern warships, these carriers use two special reactors called A4W pressurized water reactors. These reactors make 4 propellers spin and can make the carrier go fast, over 30 knots, with a lot of power, around 260,000 shaft horsepower. Because they run on nuclear power, these ships can keep going for more than 20 years without needing more fuel, and they are expected to work for more than 50 years. They are called nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and are given numbers like CVN 68 to CVN-77. Newport News Shipbuilding Company in Virginia built all 10 big ships. The first one, USS Nimitz, started its service on May 3, 1975, while the last one, USS George Bush, joined the group on January 10, 2009. These carriers have been part of lots of fights and operations worldwide since the 1970s. They were there for events like Operation Eagle Claw in Iran, the Gulf War, and more recent ones in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Nimitz-class aircraft carriers are long, about 1,092 feet overall and 1,040 feet at the waterline. They are also pretty wide, with 252 feet overall and 134 feet at the waterline. Each ship might have a little difference in its size. At first, they were supposed to be a certain weight, 87,000 long tons, but when they were finished, especially the later ones, they were a few thousand tons heavier. As they got updated and more things were added, their full weight increased to more than 100,000 long tons. For instance, the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of these carriers, now weighs 112 long tons when fully loaded. These ships usually have around 3,000 to 3,200 people on board, including 1,500 for the air wing and 500 for other tasks. The Nimitz-class aircraft carriers were made to add more carriers to the Kitty Hawk and Enterprise classes, keeping the U.S. Navy strong and capable even after the older carriers were retired. These new ships were meant to be better than the earlier U.S. aircraft carriers, especially the Enterprise and Forrestal-class supercarriers, although they have a layout quite similar to the Kitty Hawk class. One improvement is that the 2 reactors on Nimitz-class carriers take up less space than the 8 reactors on the Enterprise. Nimitz-class carriers can carry 90% more aviation fuel and 50% more weapons than the Forrestal class. The U.S. Navy says these carriers can handle 3 times more damage than the Essex class did during Japanese air attacks in World War II. The hangars on the ships are split into 3 fire bays with strong steel doors to stop fires from spreading. This setup has been used on U.S. aircraft carriers since World War II, after fires caused by kamikaze attacks. The first ships were developed during the Vietnam War, and some parts of the design were inspired by what happened there. The carrier operations in Vietnam showed that aircraft carriers needed to be more capable rather than just focusing on staying safe. They were used to sending planes on missions during the war, making them less likely to be attacked. Because of this, Nimitz-class carriers were made with larger amounts of aviation fuel and larger places to store weapons than the carriers before them. This was partly because the new design of the ship's engines gave them more space. The carriers were first made to help the U.S. military during the Cold War. They were created with special abilities for that job, like using nuclear power instead of oil to last longer, and being able to change their weapons based on new information and technology. At first, they were called attack carriers, but later ones, like the USS Carl Vinson, were also built to deal with submarines. Because of this, the ships and their planes can be part of many different operations, such as blocking sea and air routes, putting mines in the water, and launching missiles on land, in the air, and at sea. Because of a mistake in how these ships were designed, they tend to lean to the right side when carrying heavy combat loads that are more than their control systems can handle. This issue seems to be more common in the newer ships. In the past, they fixed this by using empty spaces in the ship for weight, but now there's an idea to use solid weight instead, which wouldn't make the ship less safe. In addition to the planes they carry, these ships also have defensive gear to protect against missiles and enemy planes. This includes 2 or 3 launchers for RIM-7 Sea Sparrow or RIM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles meant to defend against aircraft and anti-ship missiles. They also have 3 or 4 20mm Phalanx CIWs for defense. USS Ronald Reagan is a bit different. It has the Mk-49 guided missile launching systems for RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles, and USS Nimitz and USS George Washington also got these. The other ships will get them too when they go for a refueling complex overhaul. Since the USS Theodore Roosevelt, the carriers have had Kevlar armor over important spaces. Some earlier ships, like Nimitz, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Carl Vinson, got this armor later. The ships also have other defenses, like 4 Sipican SRBOC 6-barrel MiG-36 decoy launchers that send out flares and chaff to confuse missiles, an SSTDS torpedo defense system, and AN/SLQ-25 Nixie torpedo countermeasure system. They use AN/SLQ-32V jamming systems to find and disrupt enemy radar signals and the electronic warfare abilities of some of the planes on board. The U.S. government has not confirmed or denied having nuclear weapons on these carriers since the Cold War ended. Because of this, when a U.S. aircraft carrier visits a foreign port, it sometimes leads to protests from local people. It is obvious that with the capabilities of the carriers mentioned, the Fujian is up against powerful rivals. But due to the need for more information on this new carrier, it would be impossible to compare the strength of the Fujian against these two formidable carriers. But one thing is certain, the Fujian Ohu-03 would be a force to reckon with. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.